Okay, we should be good. Let me bring up a new tab here. New window. Let me start playing this. Got right in the Pittsburgh scene too, so it'll be right in sync with that gameplay.
Nice.
Love to see it. All right, let me check YouTube real quick, see if we're live. All right, we're good. We're just do some quick test, sound tests, and then we should be good to go whenever you're ready, my man.
Cool. Yeah, so just do a quick sound check and then yeah, we can get started. Um yes sir, yes sir. I mean really just like before we get started, man, just another goddamn solid episode. Just say that first and foremost at the top before we get started. Um yeah, I was really really happy with this episode. So I'm really excited to talk about this with Macho here. Um but yeah, how's the sound?
Sounds good. We're good to go. Ready.
Cool, cool, cool. All right, guys, welcome to the our fourth episode of the Last of Us little post show discussion that we do after every episode here on the DualShock and Sense podcast channel. I am your host, Soul, the connoisseur anime wife, who's joined as always by my good friend Macho. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Yes, sir. You got that pun book ready, Soul? You got it ready? I'm ready.
Low key, bro, those puns had me dying, bro. I was like,
you,
especially which one were you gonna say?
you a lame dad. That's what you are. You a lame dad.
Yeah. So I mean, just like overall, how'd you feel about this episode, man? Because I thought, I mean, just top level thoughts, man. I think they're 4 for 4.
Yeah, I think so too. This one was a little more quieter of an episode, I guess more or less. I think some of the action scenes were a little underwhelming, but maybe it's just because I'm used to the game and everything. But overall, I think it was still a strong episode. I really liked it.
Sure, it's got to be a little bit weird because it's not like bro, the way that I be playing The Last of Us Part Two, like I'm goddamn like. I bounce back and forth between, just like all stealth, like complete like ghost run, and then just going like goddamn John Wick, you know? So it's definitely gonna be a little bit like jarring to like go from like that kind of gameplay to like this one is definitely a lot more like slower. Like literally every bullet counts in this when you get into a gunfight in the show versus, the game, even though there's a little bit of that with the game too. Um but yeah, it definitely is different. Um
Yeah, like the pacing of everything. So again, it's not a game. And Joel even said in the episode, like, I'm 56 years old, man. I don't need to be doing all this.
See, I feel like that they, you know why they said that, right? They they addressed why he's not able to go prone in part one. That's why.
Or why he only did like body shots in episode 2 to the clicker.
Oh, right. Um, but yeah, and then also I don't know if you noticed, but and I mean like I don't know, this probably isn't like a Last of Us Part Two thing, but it reminded me of Last of Us Part Two when the kind of grunts or like the NPCs that you just kill was like saying each other's names. I forgot
Mm.
oh, it was like Brian, right? He was like Brian, and like
Yeah.
it just totally reminded me of that. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, what did you think? What were some of like your highlights in this episode? Because I think for me, they continue to do a good job of you're starting to see once again we've talked about this previously, but you're starting to see like the breadcrumbs of what Ellie is later going to become, in the future. Start to kind of like percolate here a little bit. I mean, just again like her fascination with guns specifically, right? It's really crazy, and I like how they're set up.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really cool how again they're setting the foundations, like you said, for what we can possibly see in Last of Us Part Two or Season Two, Season Three, wherever they're gonna lead with this. And I just think I think is honestly like the action scene that happened here when they're being ambushed by all the raiders or at least the hunters in this part. Um, was definitely kind of just a starting point for Ellie and Joel, and that building that trust there. Because I'm not gonna lie, man. If Ellie saved my life, sure, but when she pulled out that gun, I'm like, yo, where did you get this gun? I I thought Joe was gonna go ape crap on her, man. I thought he was gonna go absolutely ballistic, but he just definitely just let it kind of pass by and use it as a learning lesson, which was interesting. It happened a lot faster in the show than
Oh yeah,
what
for
the
sure.
game did. So what do you take on that? They kind of condensed a lot of moments from the game in this episode. So what would your take on that?
I honestly, that scene, because that moment when in the game when Ellie, when Joel's getting drowned underwater and Ellie saves him by killing the guy, and she said that line, God, I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
Yeah, yeah, I love that line. So I shot the hell out of that dude.
Yeah. But then like at the same time, like that scene, even though I really, really like that scene, it never really made sense to me why Joel was so like pissed off with her. Because like obviously, yes, like it's a kid handling a gun. That's extremely dangerous. But at the same time, it's like, yo, like this girl just saved your life, and you're like he's like, I'm just grateful that I didn't get my head shut off by a goddamn kid, right? And like that scene always just kind of been like to me like come on man, like give her some credit, man, give her some slack, you know. So I like that, like it felt like we kind of like cut the fat from that scene. We just got straight to the point, you know what I mean? So and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like he was like immediately like, okay, here, have a gun. Like he was like definitely like looking at her like a little bit like weirdly after that happened, and it was something that obviously like they needed, that they needed some time before they got to before Joel felt comfortable with like giving her a gun. It definitely happened faster than in the game, but I don't know. I still feel like it still worked for me, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, especially since he was teaching her how to hold a gun properly and all that a little afterwards. Because if you notice, like just in that scene alone, right after she shoots the guy, he doesn't. Joel doesn't really do anything to console her or be like, hey, like it's gonna be okay, whatever. They kind of just have to go on their merry way after that. It's not till afterwards where he's like, hey, like that's tough for you. So like I
Right.
love how they kind of like had like these really quiet moments. Even there's a lot of chaos happening around them. They're basically on the run, but they still gave Joel and Elliot this time to really have like a sort of a reflection moment and kind of learn from it and grow that bond between each other. Because that's really the most important part, right? That's the entire point of the entire story is their connection to one another.
Yeah, definitely. And dude, to talk to me about that scene with Brian, dude. That absolutely like I don't know, just like talking about like killing just like a I don't want to say no name because like well obviously we know his name, but like just like a normal foot soldier, like in terms of just like a pure execute, like that scene was just like it was chilling, dude. Like hearing him, like going from Ellie's perspective, like behind the wall, and not even seeing what happens, but just hearing this kid who is obviously just scared out of his mind, like literally looking down the side of a barrel, knowing that like basically he's just saying whatever he can to save his life, but he probably recognizes that whatever he says isn't gonna work, but he's still trying anyway because that's just how desperate he is in this situation. And just to hear his screams and him calling for his mom too, dude, like that scene was so damn good. And then you just hear the gunshot and just silence after that, right? Like it was incredible. How did you feel about that scene?
Yeah, and that was again like I think you said the right word for it was chilling, and I love how we didn't actually see what happened because they wanted to give us Ellie's perspective, just how sort of tortured she felt by that. Because like in her head, she's like, "I did that. I that was my fault. The reason why, he's like that." But and then the other part of it is Joel saying, like, listen, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what you did, and it's you shouldn't have to go through that. But like just to get it from her perspective, I thought it was really different. Because honestly, I was in Joel mode. I was like, hey yo, take this guy out right now. Like you gotta do what you gotta do. But like getting it from the other perspective, getting from Ellie's perspective was really enlightening. I think in this sense, that's something you don't get in the game, obviously. So I like how they added that sort of detail in there that you don't get from the game. But yeah, I mean, it was tough, man. It was tough. I was expecting. again, I have too many expectations from the game. I'm expecting Joel to do that quick. When they do get ambushed, and then one of the guys actually picks up his neck and about to put him on the glass and stab his neck
Oh
basically.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I rewatched that entire scene like like the past like week or so, and it's so badass. Such like a great Joel moment. We don't really necessarily get that here, but we get a couple of cool little action scenes with Pedro Pascal. So not too mad about it.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I was definitely waiting for that too, because it's like to me that's also like an iconic just like little moment from The Last of Us is like Joel literally getting his face slammed through like a glass window or whatever, and then like his head being like literally like mere like centimeters away from like a shard of glass. Like that moment is like so iconic to me.
It's intense
Um,
as hell. Even
yeah.
man,
But
man.
but then talk about other moments like even though that moment wasn't in here, but talk about other moments that were like literally line for line or like or shot by shot of what they were in the game. The truck scene with Ellie
Yeah.
fighting the mag. I was so happy that they kept that in because last episode when they drove off, I was really scared that they wouldn't do it. So I'm glad that it was actually here. And like literally line for line, dude. It was perfect.
Yeah. Honestly, it was one of those surreal moments. I was like, damn, they actually did it. And as soon as she brought the magazine, I was like, oh no. And then she flips it over. She's like, how does he walk with that thing? And that scene from the game is just so damn good every time. It never fails. And I thought Bella and Pedro just did it so immaculately, and especially Pedro's reactions to
Yeah.
everything when she's like, why are these pages all stuck together?
Yeah, and then obviously they had the Hank Williams song playing in the background, which is awesome.
Perfect.
Um
Iconic.
and absolutely. And then also another scene that I was really worried that they wouldn't have here because it's so funny in the game is the Ellie going like, "Psh, I ain't even tired," and then literally cut to her sleeping. So I'm glad that they had that.
Yeah, no, that was one I was hoping for too. But as soon as she said the line, I was like, oh, they're gonna cut to her drooling. She's absolutely just chopping up in dreamland for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Um,
like how they had like a little detour in that journey onto Kansas City as well. They're just in the forest and kind of showing sort of their day to day lives. I kind of like those little things just because sometimes you do think about like, oh, when did they eat? When are they gonna actually gonna sleep and stuff like that? Because you don't get that context in the game. So it's
right.
cool that we kind of get that here on top of a little Last was Part Two Easter egg with Joel having coffee.
Right, that too. And then also like I love the little 20-year-old Chef Boyardee thing or whatever. And
Dude, what a
what did
throwback that is.
and then what did Ellie say? She was like, "Oh, he's a great guy" or something like that. And Joe was like, "I agree."
Dude, I've had a Chef Boyardee in a hot minute, man.
Yeah, me too. Low
That
key, that thing's gross, bro. Chef Boyardee don't know how to cook, bro.
listen, the beefaronis hit. They hit when they
Actually,
needed to.
actually, you may be right. You may be right on that. Actually, yeah, before me, they are right. They are right. But yeah. So I agree though. I really did enjoy seeing the sort of like would you consider that like slice of life? Like I don't know, like the things that takes place like between when they're in hot shit when they're in combat and things like that. Just watching them sleep and figure out like what to eat, and Joel having to be like on night watch and things like that, and Ellie again just like asking like being annoying, asking questions after questions, but then also like the scarecrow question, right? It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I love those moments because it gives you like those are honestly, at least in my head, when it comes to shows or whatever, like those day to day, day to day moments, in like a sort of quote unquote regular life are the mask to like an enlightening conversation or another bridge here between these two characters, and it actually was in here, like with Ellie talking about the pun book or whatever the case may be. Um, so
And
yeah, I
what
mean, yeah.
and what really like worked for me with the puns is that it was something that started at the beginning of the episode, and it's like it barely got any reaction from Joel, but then I like how it looped all the way back around to the end of the episode, and that's what got, and again, it was this thing that was like peppered along throughout the entire episode, but it's not until the end where it finally cracks Joel a little bit, it cracks that sort of like exterior shell that he has. And just like, I don't know about you, how you felt about that scene, but like, the one with the the diarrhea, that it runs in the genes, and then just seeing him laugh, and then seeing Ellie laugh, and then him being like I didn't laugh, and then Ellie being like, yeah, you fucking did, or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I was tearing up, like that was such a beautiful scene, and then like how they like them two like laughing, and then having the camera like slowly zoom out, and then like slowly fade to black, but like as the screen progressively gets darker and darker, you just hear the only thing that you see, or not see, but the only thing you hear is just like their laughter over like the screen going black. Like I just felt like that scene was just like, again, a scene that's not in the game, but it was just it was so good. Like it honestly had me tearing up. How did you feel about that one?
Yeah, I liked it a lot just for the just we get to see Joel laugh, man. That's
Yeah.
that's something so rare. It, even in the games, I can't remember a moment Joel did laugh in the game. Besides the quick chuckle he got from Ellie saying a joke or whatever throughout the game playing it, and so to hear to actually have like a bursting out laughing, and I just love how it's a kind of like chain reaction where it's like, oh, you didn't. I didn't laugh. No, you did laugh. You laughed. Like I that sometimes it just makes it funnier. And you saw that it was such a genuine moment that was just heartwarming. That the episode could have ended there. I'd be like, oh, that's sweet. That's like a
Yeah.
nice like happy ending.
Honestly, yeah, it definitely could have. And then yeah, so I mean this leads to the end of the episode, meeting Sam and Henry, who it's interesting that we're getting a lot more sort of just like several other characters that we've met along the way. We're getting a lot more like context, and these characters becoming like more fleshed out, like seeing exactly where, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if we got this in the game, but seeing exactly where Sam and Henry like ran away from, you know?
Yeah, no, man, how did they meet? I can't recall that right now. But yeah, there was really like no inkling of where they came from. Sure, like Henry probably dropped a line in the game of like where they came from, where they're running from, but in this case, this is giving a lot more context with the hunters, and they're actually being sought out after, which was not hinted at in the game, far as I know, far as I can remember. So it's interesting because even then, at the end of this episode, you see Sam with like some war paint over his eyes or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is like, were they grooming this kid?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, it's gonna be, I'm really, really curious to see how, because I believe Sam is the kid, right?
Yeah, Sam is a little brother and Henry's the older. Yeah.
Right. And just in terms of like, changes or what they're going to add to flesh out these characters more, Sam is deaf in this. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's deaf. So I'm curious to see like how is that going to like, I don't know if change is the right word, but like what is that going to add to their relationship in the show versus what we know it to be in the game, you know? So I feel like they have a lot to work with. So I'm very excited to see how they handle this.
that might be like the entire core of the next episode. It seems like as well, because our time with Sam and Henry is not super long. So I'm wondering if the next episode is gonna be like the big wrap up with everything and how they're gonna do that. We got a little sneak peek of it too with Henry doing sign language with Sam for episode 5. So we'll see how that dynamic plays because it's gonna be what Ellie's I mean she's been around kids because she went to school and stuff like that. But this will be her first time actually seeing someone outside like of her regular sort of whereabouts. So
Right, right, right. Um, yeah, it's gonna be, well, I mean, she did Riley as well, so
mm-hmm.
yeah. But regardless, very excited to see that. But I mean, yeah, I think that's and then Kathleen, and then seeing also Jeffrey Pierce's character was really really cool.
He's so
I'm curious.
badass, man. He looks so
Yeah,
cool.
he looks so cool. I'm curious to see like where they're going to take that specifically. Is this just like a one, or obviously it's not going to be a one episode thing, but like a two episode thing? Like, what is the resolution with them going to be? And then the thing that they found, like in that one like underground sort of like locked away room with like the ground sort of like moving underneath, I would assume that's where the bloater is,
Yeah,
right?
dude. When I saw, I was like, "What show am I watching?" Where the entire ground is freaking moving under them, and I don't know if they actually know what's under there, or they have any sort of idea. But the fact that bloaters sort of hibernate underground until they're ready, it's disgusting and it's just scary as all hell. So like the fact that the entire thing moved, it was just like I was like, dude, what show am I watching, and what are they gonna do that with? But to your point though, I think it is gonna be a 2 episode arc because the same director is for 4 is on 5, so I have to assume that
Gotcha.
it was like a 2 episode arc thing between these characters. So next one's probably gonna be like the explosive sort of quote unquote finale for it.
Right, and we did see the brief glimpse that we got of the bloater in one of the trailers. Was showing it like a coming up out of the ground and like fire all around it. So I would assume that it's gonna be like that's good how this whole Kathleen and her crew is probably gonna how their story's gonna end. It's gonna end with a goddamn bloater popping up out of the ground and like probably a bunch of other like runners or possibly clickers coming out of there and just like absolutely killing everything from that little group or whatever.
Man, I can't wait.
Regardless,
Can't wait.
exactly. Regardless, I think next episode is gonna be like, and people have, I guess, have been complaining about like the lack of action and whatever. I think next episode might rectify that a little bit if we're right about the blower showing up next episode.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I was actually one of the scenes I was expecting in this episode, if not this, then next. I mean, they've been kind of jumping around with like how they're placing scenes from the game within the show. It's the it's after I think it's after the library once they get out, and it's after Ellie saves Joel, and he trusts her with the rifle as like he's gonna go take out a bunch of guys. I wonder if we're gonna have that scene or not because I love that scene so much. I would love to see it in live action, but I'm not sure we're gonna get that considering the timeline here. What do you think?
But also, I don't know if you noticed. Well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't see him pick it back up again. But the bolt action rifle that he had, it like jammed. So I'm pretty sure he like left it behind, right?
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I think so.
And that's the gun that that Ellie uses in that scene, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's what he teaches her how to use a gun. Really, it wasn't even a
exactly right.
pistol.
The whole line with like you make every shot count, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just guessing like, since he doesn't have it anymore, that we probably won't get that scene.
Damn, yeah,
But
yeah. That's
who
a good
knows?
catch. I didn't even see that he dropped it either, or just left it. I just kind of just assumed that he was gonna fix it later, but he probably did just leave it where it was. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, I guess that's pretty much all that I have on this episode. I really, really enjoyed it. Again, just seeing, people keep thinking that this is, a zombie action show or whatever when when it's just like this is what The Last of Us is right here. It's the connection between these two characters, literally just like we as fans, like we live for the moments of just seeing them like laying down next to each other at night and Ellie telling Joel puns and seeing him laugh at them. Like those are the moments that like define The Last of Us, not this idea that people apparently have that they think that this is like a zombie action, like um Dawn of the Dead or whatever, or World War Z or something like that, right? Like I don't know, I feel like this episode was really like this is what The Last of Us is.
Yeah, no, that's why. I mean, as a fan of the game, for ever since the release, yeah, I'm so happy with this. Not only that, it's also because I can tell my dad to watch these episodes without him getting worried about gore or anything like that. 'Cause he's not really into that kind of stuff for these
Right.
shows. So it's like he can watch this fine and plain, and I think that's really cool. Because the main thing I want him to take away when we are talking about the episodes week by week is like the story of a parent and their child and how beautiful and destructive that can be. So it's just a fun story to kind of wrap your head around, and we're seeing it live right now. So 4 episodes left, man. We're counting down. We still got a lot of ground to cover, so it'll be really interesting to see
Yeah,
what they do.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, man, I guess we both really, really enjoyed this episode. We'll obviously talk about it with Walt on next Saturday or this upcoming Saturday. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this little talk about episode 4, The Last of Us. Before we get out of here, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and like this video, share it out, and consider subscribing to the channel, man. We would greatly appreciate that. If this talk interested you in any shape, form, or fashion, definitely consider subscribing. But yeah, without further ado, Macho, you got anything going on this week?
Yes, sir. We playing games. We're getting excited for the next episode, which I will actually shout out here that it's going to air on Friday. So Last was episode 5. It's going to air this Friday. We'll let you guys know if we're going to go live right after the episode or wait till Saturday morning on our podcast to talk about it. But either way, it's moving out of Sunday because of Super Bowl Sunday. So be sure to stick to the channel and catch that and hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And then we can talk about the episode. Have a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As for me, just same old, same old. Let's see. School. Still working on that project, which I'm sure you guys have seen on the channel. On well, Macho specifically, you've seen on the channel that I've been like uploading like a bunch of like private videos on there.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yeah, I've been catching it. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling your surprise. You're good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm so excited to finally get this thing out when it's ready. And then really aside from that, more Signalis, really really enjoying that game, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me, man. So yeah, once again, I want to thank everyone for watching, whether it was live or after the fact, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.